and it's about like opening people to the realities of running a business that's growing. It's significantly stressful. People see like all the glamour and all the great things I get to do like this, but at the same time, like they don't see the 5 a.m. emails. They don't see me like having a panic attack at 1 a.m. because something needs to be sorted at 6 a.m. It's just, they don't see, on social media you see such a small snippet of life. You see 12 seconds of someone's 24 hours. And a lot of people just portray the good. I think that more businesses should really portray the real ups and downs.
Hi everybody and welcome to Founder Stories. And I'm joined by Jules Barrett. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Jules, can I tell you something before we start?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever...
Tell me something or ask me something.
I'm going to tell you something.
Okay.
And now I've never told you this before.
Okay.
But I love you, Jules.
Oh, thanks. Bizarre, but thank you.
Well, the reason I'm telling you that is because we've got Lucy Locket Loves in the house.
Hi.
So my first question is, Lucy, what does Lucy Locket love?
What do I love? Oh, I'm on the spot, aren't I? If you asked me today what I love the most, it would be the avocado on toast that I had this morning for breakfast because it was so good, and I still keep thinking about the chili jam that came with it.
You're posh.
I'm not really. I just went to the nearest place outside the hotel, but it was really good. That's what I love today.
Okay, so
avocado toast.
I've got to. What do you love then?
Not avocado on toast. But we were told once by a recruitment consultant at Grenade that to get good staff, we need to offer avocado on toast for breakfast.
Really?
So there you go.
You heard it all here today, guys.
You heard it here today.
Brilliant. Well, Lucy.
Hi.
Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming to our humble abode.
Thanks for having me. It's very exciting.
It's great. Now, in terms of stories,
okay,
you've got a great story. But the first story that I want to talk about is your mother has become a TikTok sensation.
She's gone viral today.
She's gone viral literally today.
Yeah.
Tell us, what's happened?
She's in Greece with my dad, and my dad bought her a dress from Mango, and not a dress, sorry, a skirt, and she's come down wearing it as a top. It's a very simple video. It's a really nice interaction between my mum and dad. It's gone viral. It's had 1.5 million views, and there's like now articles coming out, but I can't get hold of my mum or dad to tell them what's happened. So I'm sat here now, and my phone's probably going to start buzzing over there, telling my mum.
So your mum probably doesn't yet.
She doesn't know it's gone properly viral. No, she knows it was doing quite well, but she doesn't know it's actually like.
Why has it gone viral?
I don't know.
It's just.
I think it's just a very cutesy interaction. But TikTok's one of the things we'll probably speak about today, and how that is a whole new level of social media. I think
it's
very
level.
different compared to what we're used to.
Your mum is on TikTok.
Oh yeah, she's what's her name? Living the dream at 60. So she's just turned 60, and that's what she wants to do. She just constantly wants to be on holiday and just living her best life.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Is it? I mean, we're going completely random here.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you, I mean, I haven't sent you questions, but we're completely off track already.
That's fine.
So has your mum? Would you say your mum's been a big influence in your life? It sounds like the way you talk about your daughter.
Massively. So my mum's actually with my stepdad, but my stepdad's my dad as far as I'm concerned. So between the ages of 0 and 18, my mum did everything to bring me and my brother up. She worked several jobs, and she gave us an amazing life, and she worked really, really hard. So yeah, massive influence on my life, massively so.
Let's big her up. What's her name?
Julie.
Big up Julie.
Julie
sounds absolutely wicked.
Well, you'll probably see her on Good Morning Britain.
Okay, brilliant. I look forward to it. I don't know exactly.
Yeah. Live from Greece. You know what it's like. Oh wow, it's a viral sensation.
So anyway, let's get to Lucy Locket Loves.
Okay.
Incredible story in such a short period of time in terms of where this has gone. The start of this was actually really interesting in terms of I say light bulb moment. I've got to change that phrase because I say it too much, but take us to that moment when you decided that you were going to create this awesome brand.
So I was a personal trainer, and I'd kind of injured my back and wasn't sure what I'd quite done, and I was waiting for some further testing and MRI and stuff, and I was like, look, I need to cover the rent. So my studio rent was £800, and then obviously I had all gas, electricity bills on top. I was like, how do I cover this month's rent? Because I couldn't PT. I couldn't physically do it. It was painful, it was stressful.
So this was crippling pain?
Oh yeah. Like towards just before I did end up having an operation, before that I was on crutches constantly. Like,
really?
I was in a bad way.
So you couldn't earn?
Yeah, I couldn't earn any money.
Jeez.
And I had my own private personal training studio, so it was the bills were just up to me. It wasn't like I was renting a room off a gym. It was my own lovely area, my own gym, my own space. So I was at home one day and I was like, look, I need to cover rent. How am I going to do it? And I did have a little bit of a background of fashion or clothing because I studied at the Fashion Retail Academy, but only for a year when I was 17. So I started just looking online, looking for manufacturers, and then got a few samples. And I was like, look, I'm going to do this, 60 units, friends, family, PT clients. I'd got quite a decent following on social media then. I'll sell them to them.
What kind of following?
I think it was like 6,000.
Cool.
Like, so in the scheme of things now, it's very small, but it was a decent following at the time. I'll sell them to them. It'll cover my rent for a couple of months while I get my back sorted, and then I'll pop back to PTing and maybe we'll have it as a little sideline. I had a nice little area that they could just be on rails in the gym. And then they'd sold before I'd even got them. Sold out, so then I ordered more, and they sold out, and then ordered more, and they sold out. And then the rest is kind of the next 5 years. I think I stopped PTing after, so I had my operation in the January, and then I think I stopped PTing properly in the June. So the clothing line was 1 year old when I completely hit personal training on the head and was like, there's no way I can sustain this and this, and I just need to focus on clothing now.
Because that's one of the things that when we were talking about Lucy before, you were just like, wow, so much respect to go from one discipline to a completely different discipline.
Yeah, definitely. And like so many people think they can start a clothing brand.
Yeah.
And I know that you'll talk about it, but there are a lot of challenges that come with it.
Oh yeah, massively
Yeah.
so.
Well, why do
Hugely.
people think it's easy to start a clothing brand? And what are the challenges? I mean, why is it so few people actually nail it?
I think one of the reasons that people think it's so easy to do is because of social media now, and we see influencers come out of these situations like Love Island or Big Brother, I can't think of the names off the top of my head, and all of a sudden they've got their own clothing line. And I think other people see that and they're like, oh, I can do that. And I think that people don't understand the realities of the stress of, I'm an absolute perfectionist, like things have to be bob on. I won't release anything unless it's like, it's been like approved by me like 100 times. Like I'm so bad for it. But that's where we've created like a loyal following, because we try to be very consistent with the quality at an accessible price point. I think that's something else that I really focus on or I'm really passionate about.
But it must have been in you straight away to be able to create something, because you said you had your own studio.
Yeah.
So as a PT, massively successful.
Oh, yeah. I was a fully booked personal trainer, yeah. And I hadn't been a personal trainer for very long at the time when I did my back, which was the frustrating thing. Before that, I actually owned a paint your own pottery studio. Yeah.
Tell us more.
So my story is very random if you go like all the
We
way
love
back.
random, don't we?
Basically, I'd been out in Paris au pairing, nannying, moved home, and got the opportunity to buy this paint your own pottery studio very randomly. And was like, well, why not? So I bought it and did that for 4 years. I knew nothing. I had to learn everything like straight away. I knew nothing about the pots, the kiln, the firing, how to run a children's birthday party, how to do anything. I literally learned it all on the spot. And I was 22, yeah. So did that for 4 years and then sold that to be a personal trainer.
Really?
And then did the PT and then...
So you had your first exit?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it was, I look back now and it was just a weird time. But I think that taught me how to be a better business person now, because it was very small, but it definitely taught me a lot of those challenges were so hard that I've definitely took those skills into now, and it's very different, but they teach you things along the way, don't they? I know how to manage stress a little bit better because of those real life scenarios that I can put into real life scenarios now where it is a lot bigger, but those things that I learnt then really helped me now, I think.
Were you ever employed, or did you always know that you were maybe not unemployable, but you've always wanted your own business and work for yourself?
I've had jobs.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I've never stuck where I'm not my own boss. No.
Really?
Yeah.
So what is it that makes you unemployable?
I think I've always got this passion or drive just to work for myself. I've always wanted to do that. I remember like making earrings and selling them when I was 14 at school. Like I remember that like entrepreneurial part of me, I think's always been there. And yeah, I've been employed along the way, but I've always wanted to do something for myself or build a brand for myself. My mum says that was in me from a really early age. Yeah. That was something that she knew that I would do. Not sure to the level of success that I have now, but she always knew that was in me. So yeah, I think as well, like I like the flexibility, I think for me, ever since I was 14, I have struggled with my mental health, and I do struggle with anxiety and social situations. And I think that going to work sometimes used to cause me like significant stress of like being there at 9 o'clock and having to do that. Whereas working for yourself, if I don't want to rock in till 10 a.m, I don't have to. If I need a day off, I can take a day off. And that's really important for me and my mental health, I think, as that journey. And I know not everyone can do that if they suffer from the mental health, but for me, it's given me, I don't know how to explain it, that flexibility makes me less anxious.
Can I just explore the bit that you said about your anxiety?
Yeah.
Because from the very first second I met you, very confident. I think it really nicely put me at ease. So straight away, we were getting to funny stories.
Everyone always says that as well.
So that's really, thank you for being so open about that.
I think it's really, really important to talk about mental health, especially when you kind of get to that level of success. I think there's not a lot of people stop talking about it when they get to like a certain level of success. And for me, my mental health, I'm so clear about online, and I speak about it quite significantly because I want people to understand that just because you get successful doesn't remove any mental health issues, depression, anxiety. People think that having money will solve all your problems. No, I suffer significantly from anxiety.
And how does it manifest in terms of that anxiety?
Oh, for me, I have like a lot of compulsions, like OCD things. So like I'll focus on numbers or letters, and I'll have to like kind of click out of that because I get really stressed, and then I will physically vomit sometimes because I'm so anxious.
Really? So this is something that you really have to really deal with.
Oh yeah, this morning I was like really stressed just about doing this today.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of people say it's like imposter syndrome, don't they? But for me, it's just anxiety. I like play out situations in my head, and then I'm like, will it go like that or will it go like that? And is it okay?
Oh, huge respect then for putting yourself in front. I mean, we've got a lot of cameras here.
Yeah, I know.
But then after like 5 minutes of coming in here, realise that it's just not going to be one of
and
those
that's
interviews
the thing,
and everything's
right?
fine.
Yeah.
Because it's really scary. But a lot of people say to me like, no, you don't suffer your mental health. You're the chillest, coolest person I know. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm a very extroverted introvert. That's what I've been told before. So I'm very extroverted in situations like this. But for me, having my own space and my own time and doing my own thing and is really, really important to me.
I'm really grateful you're talking about this because this is inspiring me. I was talking to Juliet a few weeks back about the fact that I was explaining to you, I just get so anxious. And it can spiral, and it can all of a sudden I start becoming a catastrophizer.
Yeah.
So little things like all of a sudden this is going to be it. I've done this, or I've said that, or this client has done this, and it means the whole business is going to come to an end. We're over, and it very quickly becomes a very dark place to live.
Oh yeah. For me, about 3.5 weeks ago, I was in a really, really rough place, but I made myself like do loads of exercise every day. Just really get out, do stuff, and then I get super anxious about things. So this week I knew was such a busy week.
Yeah.
But for me, sometimes it's better to kind of spread things out. Like, so I do one thing a week. This week I've done like 4 really important things in 1 week.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes I'm like, oh, I need a rest now. I need just to like
recharge.
Yeah. That's really, really important.
Yeah.
And I think also like when I'm really struggling, it's so important to tell people that you are struggling with anxiety or your mental health, because it's easier when someone else knows. Not because you want them to check in on you, but just because you've spoke about it a little bit and you're not catastrophic.
Yeah, it's like,
I can never say the word.
The tap is turned.
Yeah, someone knows how I feel. Like, I'm not just trying to keep this internally, and I'm not just going to like combust. Like, someone else knows. They kind of take a little bit of the heat off you, if that makes any sense.
So if we look at Lucy Locket Loves, and therefore just all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but your growth is just all of a sudden really taking off. Is that a superpower for you, what you're talking about there? Is it helping to draw you into achieving the great things you're doing, or is it something that you have to check?
I think it's something that I think I'll always struggle with anxiety. I don't think it's something that will ever go away. I'll have periods where it'll be less, and I'll have periods where it's significant. And at the minute, I'm more in the significant, but I've had a lot of big life changes this last year.
Really?
So I think it is a superpower in a lot of ways, because it's something that I'm quite open about, and my audience on social media, they resonate with that, and that's why they're connected to Lucy Locket Loves in the community. Aside from the clothes, they're connected to that part of me that's very vulnerable and on the line, and doesn't just talk about, oh, my business has done this, this and this. It's like, my business has done this, but I'm also struggling like this. My business has done this, but that was really stressful. And it's about like opening people to the realities of running a business that's growing. It's significantly stressful. People see like all the glamour and all the great things I get to do like this, but at the same time, like, they don't see the 5 a.m. emails. They don't see me like having a panic attack at 1 a.m. because something needs to be sorted at 6 a.m. It's just, they don't see on social media you see such a small snippet of life. You see 12 seconds of someone's 24 hours. And a lot of people just portray the good. I think that more businesses should really portray the real ups and downs.
And I think when we talked about, you know, a clothing business and people think it's easy, I think they think it's easy for exactly those reasons. They see all the wonderful growth of, like, you know, we all know who the big Gymshark, you know, type brands are in the UK. They see all the huge growth, but they don't know everything that goes into making that business successful. So it almost looks so easy. It's the iceberg, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, above the surface and like.
Yeah. In terms of you to go back to your story, Grenade, creating a massive brand, you know, were the times where you were really pushed to the limits with anxiety and stress and what have you, and how did you cope with that?
I mean, I'm not actually I don't get anxious. I'm emotional.
Yep.
I get frustrated when things aren't going my way, but I'm very practical.
Yeah.
And it's weird, my friend's daughter's doing GCSEs and, you know, I'll shut up in a minute, but like she said, well, there's no point getting stressed about something because it hasn't happened yet. And I thought that's like a 15-year-old girl that is like just probably said the most sensible piece of advice because it hasn't happened and it might not do, but I'm one for thinking, well, do you know what? If the shit hits the fan, and it will do, I'll deal with it.
Yeah, I wish I was more like that. I'm
That's
the other end.
the advice that I give to others, though, when they say to me, what advice? That's the exact. I'm like, it's not happened yet. Chill out, like it's fine. But I can't help myself internally.
I'll be visualising when that shit hits the
Everyone
fan.
goes through that. Oh God, I've got a really busy week. You know, how am I going to get through it? But you do get through it. You get through it, and like because it's your business, you'll put everything into that. And I'm a big believer in, you know, just maybe for my detriment, but just getting on with it.
Very stoic.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you don't particularly feel comfortable, don't like sort of managing people.
Yeah.
Has that affected the sort of people that you've recruited?
So I'll be completely honest, when it comes to recruiting people, that is just completely handed over to my dad.
Okay.
Really? Your dad? Wow, wicked.
Yeah, so my dad is basically... Now, we have people that work for me that, I've kind of put forward for roles. But no, I just leave him to basically sort that kind of thing out. So he's very good at it. He'll come speak to me about it after he's interviewed them, etc. But in regards to sitting in interviews, and also whenever we put anything out for recruitment, I always say, I do not want a CV. Do not send me a CV. I don't care what you've done the last 20 years. I don't care what you've done since school. My CV, it's just ridiculous now. We're in 2022. Send me a video about you. Tell me what you do, what your passions, what you do in your spare time, why you want to work here. Like, don't tell me that you've got a BA honours in art directorate, but you want to pack leggings in a warehouse. CVs just don't make any sense anymore, like for me. So no, we just
shoot a video. Tell me what you love doing.
And that's literally whenever we put out a job advert, that is literally what we put on the internet. It's like, just speak to us, tell us about you. Like, it doesn't matter what someone's done. Like, I've worked some jobs that I've hated, like, and I have to put them on my CV. Like, if I was never to be in business anymore, I'd never send anyone my CV anymore.
Really?
Yeah, but like,
send a video.
Yeah, just a video, like, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is what I like, this is what I don't like.
And your dad will decide if they get through the door?
Yeah, and then my dad decide if they get through the door.
What's his name?
Neil.
Big shout out to Neil.
There you go.
Let's come to your customer engagement.
Okay.
So you've got over 130,000 on Facebook, over 60,000 on Instagram.
Yeah.
You're going to be going into TikTok quite short. That's going to be a big part of your strategy,
yes.
I presume. But how have you therefore managed to create such great customer engagement? Because it is one of the most important things that you can do with the product, right?
So I'd probably say 80% of our content is actually nothing to do with our clothing line. It's all very like honest posts from me. It's like, again, talk about mental health, talking about my fitness journey, talking about just life in general. And it kind of how it started, or how we had the name Lucy Locket Loves. Is originally Lucy Locket Loves was a blog. That's how Lucy Locket Loves started. So I was a personal trainer and I had a blog called Lucy Locket Loves, and it was just things that I enjoyed, and that's how I wrote. Then when I launched the clothing line, it didn't make any sense to change the name, because everyone finds it a very random name. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
I like it though.
So a lot of what we do online is very posts that are engaging, but not in a I want to sell you something way. In a, look, this is what I'm doing, and I'm wearing these leggings, and this is what I've done, and this is my mum on holiday wearing these leggings. And it's like, we're not a very salesy company. Don't get me wrong, we use marketing in terms of Facebook ads, etc. But a lot of our content, and I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with when they're trying to create an organic following on social media. Stop just trying to sell people stuff all the time. People invest in people.
But your product must be good as well, because if your product was
course.
rubbish, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
people wouldn't love it.
Of course.
What is it about your product? Because it seems to make people feel good and want to share their stories.
The way that I kind of explain our prints a lot of the time is I'd say it's children's prints on adults' clothing in a lot of terms.
Prints on adults' clothing.
Yeah, so it's
like
if you want like rubber ducks. So we've done rubber ducks recently. We've done like aliens. We've done loads of cats. Like stuff that when you go into like a kid's store and you're like walking around, like I go and buy stuff for my nephew's niece. I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool. I wish I could have that in my size. It's kind of prints like that kind of evoke emotion, like fun, playful, and make people just feel good. Like if I'm having a bit of an awful day and I go out for a walk and I've got some fun leggings on, they just make me feel better. Like it's happy clothing. I think that's it.
Happy clothing. Yeah.
Happy clothing. And then our size range currently goes from size 6, UK size 6 to UK size 26. So a lot of brands kind of stop around the UK 16, 18 mark.
Really?
So we've also kind of gone into the market about just empowering people of a variety of sizes to really just enjoy moving their body. Like it's not about working out, it's not about being an absolute gym bunny who's constantly there and going for bodybuilding competitions, not conversations. And if you can go to the gym for 30 minutes on Tuesday because that Zumba's the one thing that helps you because you managed to get half an hour away from the kids, or if you can go out to park run on a Saturday, like we're not a fitness brand that's shoving fitness down your throat constantly. We are definitely like about, I think, like the real faces of fitness, the people who are in the gym, the people who it's not their life, it's just something that makes them feel better. That's a lot of what our ethos is, I'd say.
Again, really relate to, I'm finding it fascinating what you're saying. Like if I take my own experiences, like going to the gym can be quite stressful.
Yeah.
I'm not a big guy, I'm not a tall guy, I'm probably not even average, I'm probably
Not even average.
But going to the gym can be just such a stressful bloody experience because all of a sudden someone rocks up, you know, who knows if they're roided up or not, but you just think, oh my God. But it does feel, and so what I actually really loved about lockdown was getting my own weights, put them in the garage and have a lovely time on my Todd now, no pressure, and I love it.
Yeah.
I can just enjoy my own workouts, right? But I mean, I've lost my thought of flow here, but what I was going to say, as I've got it back, is it is quite an industry which kind of makes you feel bad about yourself, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, massively so. And a lot of brands are just kind of selling the fitness dream, or these like dream bodies, or work towards the summer body, your summer body, and all that messaging to us is like completely away. Like, why live your life trying to waiting to be something else? Like, if that's your end goal, amazing, but live your life today as well. Like, carry on being. Don't waste 6 months of your life like just trying, because you having that dream body that you want to work for, that doesn't automatically make you happy. Like you've got to, there's so much in that journey, and I think for us it's just fun clothing that just makes people happy, and there's no pressure with it. It's not, you don't need to be in the gym every single day, and you don't need to be a runner or a rower or lift weights.
So it's real. It's real gear. It's real gear for real people, right?
I hate the terms real people.
Really?
I hate it. Yeah.
Why's that?
Because a lot of the time when we put stuff on social media, if we use someone who's like a size 16 or 18, we'll get a lot of messaging saying, "Oh, it's so good to see real people in clothing."
Right.
And like, we're two completely different sizes. You're no more real than I'm real. We're both two amazing women that have done amazing things, and both of our successes should be celebrated, whether you're a size 6, 9 or size 16. And I think when you start using the terms real people in your messaging, especially when it comes to fitness adverts, we're all real. You work just as hard on your fitness goals as I do mine. We're both probably passionate about fitness. Like Grenade was a brand that was passionate about fitness. I'm really passionate about my own fitness and my own health journey, but I think that when you start using terminology like that, I think it can be quite upsetting for people as well, because because I think that we've definitely seen that people who are naturally quite petite, they start seeing messaging. Before we used to have like fat shaming, and now there's a lot of messaging that's quite like skinny shaming in a lot of terms. And I've definitely seen things in the media recently about influencers who are about body positivity are quite scared to lose weight because they feel that their audience will no longer relate to them, or or feel attached to them, but actually they want to do that for themselves. And it's quite scary, like how social media's created this world in all terms and all sizes. So we try to be really careful with messaging of like of terms like real and.
Well, it's plus size, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, anything over a size 16 or
So
whatever
that's
is plus size.
we never use
yeah,
the term plus size ever,
Really?
and I never ever will. For me,
Right.
that is so toxic. When I quite early on, when I was a personal trainer, I think I was a size 10 at the time, and I got sent an email from a journalist that said, "As a plus size personal trainer," and I was like, "Are you joking me? Like that is cheeky," and I refused to answer it for the journalist, but. I think that all that terminology, if you're buying a pair of jeans as a man, you're never considered plus size. It's just 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. As soon as you get over a size 16 as a woman, you are considered plus size. When do you stop being a size and become a plus? For me, that terminology is just so toxic.
Yeah.
It's what magazines have sold us forever, isn't it?
An entrepreneur goes through lots of different milestones. You know, the first mark is breaking the 1 million, and then maybe it's a 3, then the 5, etc. You've now broken the 5.
Yeah.
What does the next sort of few months, years look like now in terms of, you know, now you're on this lovely growth curve? Where are you aiming to go now?
Do you know what? I've been asked this so many times before, and I honestly don't know, because I never set out with the intention to be where I am now.
Really?
I could be quite comfortable. I could have been comfortable where I was 2 years ago.
Where was that 2 years ago? Where would you say the business was then?
So just before, like pre-COVID, it was just at like a really nice, manageable level. I feel like we didn't have too many staff, and like I still had quite a lot of free time, and it was just a nice level. But then I deal with all the growth. I think that I've never, and I still haven't now, I've not got these grand ambitions or these big things, or I want to hit 10 million next year, or I want to do this, or I want to sell in 3 years. I'm kind of just still going with the flow. Like I don't have these grand ambitions, because I never thought that I'd be sat here today. Like it's one of those crazy things. Like I remember having our first £1,000 day. I was at a party. I was at my friends having an annual Christmas party at their house. And I remember there, and I was just in fits of tears. Like I'd turned over £1,000. Like I think it was like the 12th of December of the first year or something. And I was like hysterical. And I don't think that anything will ever beat that feeling.
Really?
Like,
that was memorable.
That's a thing that always stands out to me. And now I think you kind of reach a point where numbers are just numbers, as long as they're going in the right direction. I don't get overly stressed about it. I get to live comfortably. I think that's a sign of a true entrepreneur, the fact that it's all about the journey and not the end goal, because you just don't know what that's going to be. No, I think, I know, like I say, like the stress causes me anxiety, etc. But I think all entrepreneurs are quite addicted to that adrenaline rush of that new product or that new thing or that next thing. And for me, it's not about numbers. For me, it's just about like just having fun in what I do and loving what I do. I love what I do. Love what I do, yeah.
Surely, maybe I asked it the wrong way, which is I was making it all around the numbers. But where do you see the business going over the next few years?
I think for me, the next few years, if I'm completely honest, are about kind of hitting personal goals rather than career ones for me.
Okay.
So I think I've kind of reached a really good point in business where I think it's time for me to take a step back, maybe try and become a mom, maybe like focus on things I've never focused on, because I've always been so focused on working for myself. And then I've kind of got a little bit left behind on the, like, there was one point last year, I think there was 20 of my friends told me they were having babies in the space of like 3 weeks, and I was a bit like, oh, okay, like you start to all of a sudden panic that am I too old? Like, what happens when I have a baby? Like my business. I think that
that created real panic.
Yeah. I think that for me now is about maybe focusing on those things that I do want to do in life, but I've always been so heavily focused on my business.
Really?
Because it's at a level where I can do that, and then you never know, do you? In August, it's just so hard to predict. Like the world's such a weird place at the minute, and it has
a lot of
been for a few
curveballs
years.
of recent times, haven't there?
So you never know. So I don't know. Come back and ask me in 3 years, and then we'll see. Like it's so difficult, because if someone had asked me 3 years ago, and I'd have said, "Oh, I want a 5 million year," I'd have probably laughed at myself and been like, "Oh, who do I think I am?"
Really?
Yeah. Like who does she think she is? Like she's got to be kidding. It's so difficult. You just never know, do you?
So what do you think was the catalyst for that growth? Do you think COVID played a
Yeah,
part?
so COVID was a massive success for us in terms of everyone was either working out or chilling out. Like, so everyone wanted either fitness leggings, because everyone had created these gym rooms out of the gym, or they were going for a little Boris walk and they just want a nice kit to cheer up. And then in terms of that, and then the other side of the business is casual wear, lounge wear. It's very much cozy, comfy clothes.
Yeah.
And we just sold all the products that people wanted. So whereas there was businesses that used to sell party dresses and all these things where people going out, no one was going out, everyone wanted them. And on the back of that, we really created a community in COVID in terms of people were definitely like looking after each other, helping each other on the social media space. And it was like, there was no COVID talk kind of like allowed. We were like, come on, let's just take this away from, because everything was just COVID constantly, wasn't it? It's all you think, breathe, talked about, the TV, all of it. So no, for me, the COVID year was kind of the pinnacle, life-changing year for us as a business and a brand. Well, but
have sustained it ever since.
Yeah, but prior to COVID, we had like four staff. There was us, and then all of a sudden we were recruiting. So we had girls that were air hostesses for British Airways who just didn't know if they had a job or not, so we were giving them like temporary jobs to kind of put them on until they found out, and we just carried on growing then.
So you didn't change, like, 'cause a lot of businesses obviously completely changed during COVID to meet demand, like went online or whatever, but you were already doing that.
We were already online,
you didn't change other than manage the growth and recruit
so
and
all we did. So we closed for a few weeks at first because no one really knew the
No one knew, did they, what was going to happen?
So we closed for a few weeks at first, and then after that we got back. We were like, okay, there's a lot of orders on the system here. We need to start ploughing through these. And quickly we were like, we're not going to be able to plough through these as like a team of, it was like 5 of us or whatever. And we were also trying to be so careful with social distancing and keeping each other at different sides of the warehouse and all of those stresses that were involved in COVID times. And then we just started just taking on more staff and more staff and more staff. So that year, that period of a few months is like the pinnacle of when our business changed, I think.
Really. What would you recommend to people in terms of, if you look at the journey that you've been on, what's the biggest gem that you can impart to people in terms of making sure that you create a great business and you keep on enjoying it? And
I think that you've got to do something that you're passionate about. Just because you see a gap in the market that someone needs a certain type of screw or something random, and you're like, oh, you've got to really love what you do in order to make it work. And B, if you decide to be e-commerce and you're selling on social media, you don't just need to sell your product because it won't sell. Like, so many businesses come to me and say, I'm not selling anything, why is it? And I'm like, because every single post is just you trying to sell to them. Like, people invest in people. People want to know who you are, what made you build the brand, why are you so passionate about this? And when people become involved in that, and the second that people start doing social media posts like that, they really see a change in people interacting, in their posts being shared, in building those brands. And I say that's but being passionate about something, which is easier said than done, isn't it? Because you can have passion and then you can lose it because it's so stressful. But I think that you've really got to love it to make it succeed. You've got to take the good with the bad, and it'll come. And
you clearly love it.
Yeah, you've really got. But yeah, it's difficult. Like, it's difficult. I bet every person you spoke to has said it's difficult. No one said, oh yeah, it's been a dream. Like, honestly. Been amazing, like no stress, no drama, no nothing, have they? Like, you just don't, like.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I love most about meeting people like yourself and so many of the entrepreneurs that we meet. Is just that resilience and the ability to you're right, it's
so many hats. Like one day I'm customer service, the next day I'm packing leggings, the next day I'm being interviewed for amazing things. Like it's you've just got to literally be able to take that hat off and then very quickly be able to swap to the next one. And that's where it becomes difficult. I think you've got to be I do think you do have to be a certain type of person to resilience.
Yeah.
Resilience.
Rhino resilience.
Yeah.
Listen, you're awesome. I have to thank you so much for just the openness which you've had with this interview. I found it really inspiring. I've loved it. You're mega. Cheers. Thanks so much, Lucy.
Cheers.
And all the best with Lucy Locket Loves.
Thanks.
And big shout out to Julie.
Yeah. I need to look
TikTok
at my phone.
sensation.
Yeah, I'm going to look at my phone in a minute, or it'll be okay, won't it? See, that's me catastrophizing straight away. I'm like, what's happened in this hour I've not had my phone? Like, it's fine. It'll be okay. We'll have a look, won't we? We'll soon find out.